Here's a few sample questions to ask these would-be political leaders in their little debate. What about a Federal Workers' Compensation Act? Most importantly, federal regulations to go with it. The feds have jurisdiction constitutionally to take control of the workers' compensation if they so choose, like the Canada Health Act. Currently in Canada, we the people have no civil or human rights. With regards to injured workers, as the normal rule of law does not apply for them or those who judge them. The Conservatives seem gung-ho on one Securities Commission for Canada. What about one act and regulation for injured workers? Again, do they want to do what Tommy Douglas would do? The greatest Canadian that ever lived. God bless him. Do they want to look after the public, the general public, and take care of them like they're supposed to, like they're mandated to do, but which they've been neglecting, sadly, in the case of the injured worker? Because we, the injured worker, we, the people, have no rights in our own country. Less rights than a criminal, which is just fundamentally wrong and goes against everything that this country stands for, that we believe in, we love, and we would die for. The right to freedom, security, health, home, and family. What does the Prime Minister want to be remembered as a despot like Duplessis or a great Canadian like Tommy Douglas? Duplessis was a thug that came out of Quebec during the 50s. He was the head of the Liberals, I believe it was. I'm not too sure. But anyways, he was a political leader, and he was a nasty man. He had people beat up by the RCMP, and he went up against a businessman, a small businessman, and the guy fought him to a standstill, and he ended up in Supreme Court, and they ended up losing his office. But anyways, he goes down in history as a terrible person. Everybody talks about the green shift for the environment. Now, that's all well and good. We need to take care of the environment, and we should do it without even thinking about it. But what about what about going green for the public, the injured worker, and that kind of thing, and saying, well, these people were good tax-paying citizens. They did their work faithfully. Why don't we take care of them and look after them? Because it's obvious that anybody who's living half decently can live their life, can be productive, and go on with their life and pay taxes and do whatever. And if they're capable of going into other lines of work, then that's fine. You get them into, provide education for them so that they can get into other lines of work. Don't just throw them away like the WCB seems to do now. Because all you do is wind up with more thieves on the street and more murders and what's been happening lately, a lot of suicides. Some involving innocent people that have absolutely nothing to do with it, and which is wrong. I mean, people getting killed over somebody committing suicide because of WCB, that goes against everything this country stands for. What about a federal constitutional challenge against an Administrative Tribunals Act for the following? The green shift for the people must happen to promote the general welfare by fair hearings, collective rights, secure blessings and harmony of a nation of proportional democracy and liberty, as where is an injured worker with obviously no money going to get money for a lawyer in 60 days for a judicial review. Now, this was done on purpose. I mean, you could tell. That's what it was all about. It was to take that avenue away from the injured worker. I mean, this is all planned. I mean, this is planned by Dave Winters and Gordon Campbell and big business. This was done with obvious intent, malicious intent. Judicial review, as it is currently in British Columbia under the infamous Provincial Administrative Tribunals Act was newly minted in 2003 by the tyrant Gordon Campbell and retroactively applies. It wasn't just Gordon Campbell, it was Dave Winters. He was the man that wrote it. This is done by all these parties, the ICBA and everybody to do with business. I don't know where this comes from, but it comes from probably down south in the southern states, the right to work and all that kind of stuff. But these clack and all this, because this is what it's all about. It creates dissension amongst the working man. This giving these people more and more power, and this is what it's all about: the power over the worker. An injured worker does not have rights for legal counsel to appear on behalf of them, even if they pay for it themselves. That's up to the discretion of the tribunal. Which is, I mean, they can have you turn around and file with the courts to have you charged with contempt and have you put in jail. But they don't have, any evidence they bring into that court doesn't even have to be legal evidence. Read the act. People have to read the acts and see what it is and see what your rights are, because you don't have any. It's a sad fact. Now, these are the questions. I'm going to send this to that news deal. But there's a deal on Global where you can send in your questions and ask them. And maybe tell them your story and what. We need people to get up off their asses and do this. I mean, you've got your life to live, I'm sure, but beyond that, this fight has got to be fought. We have to make time for it. We can't sit on our thumbs and not do anything. Anyways, that's the end of this. Well, pretty much the end of this little video. Thank you.